So what's up, friends? Welcome to this week's video. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Obviously, the last two reviews I've had were around the Noble Audio Falcon Pros and the Bang & Olufsen EQs. Pretty well received. These guys were super requested by you guys, but they are in the similar price range, 400 and 320 on Amazon. I think these actually went down to 364. So, you know, that sort of 350-ish framework or price range, and very audiophile quality in terms of their focus. And that's very obvious in how they've sort of built these guys and some of the features that are present on these. This would normally be a review where I just do a straight comparison, but because of the nature of these headphones, I'm going to take this into a little bit of a different spiel where it's very focused on the audio, and the other ulterior characteristics I will kind of run through as fast as possible just because of that. So what I mean by that is that these guys are very much, at least in my perspective, not jack of all trades that you will use for every part of your lifestyle. So if you're looking for a headphone that will give you conferencing, controls on board, great microphones, great active fit, sort of just being able to do it whenever you need to, these aren't going to be the guys. To me, these are very sound centric because of the things, the quirks around the fit, the quirks around the mics. I just can't use this for work, play, workout, and all that sort of stuff all in one. However, if I'm just solely focused on listening to music, I would prefer no other earbuds over these. And we'll talk about these a little bit more, but because they're so focused on sound, that's the reason why they shine in that area. Again, I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering how these sound to the PI7s. What's up, bird? You're not getting in, homie? There's been like a blue jay that's been smacking our window constantly. Oh, hi, you're back. Dude, you're not getting in, homie. Yo. This is crazy. This is not your home, this is my home. There you go. Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, you guys are asking about the PI7s. To me, they just don't compare in terms of what you will need. There's too many quirks with the audio connectivity that I can't recommend those. They do have great sound, and it's very, very clean, very, very clinical, very, very neutral. However, again, I would probably prefer the Bangs over them anyway, so I'm probably not gonna bring them in here. Other than that, I think we can kind of get into the main stuff. But yeah, just as a preface, I'm going to be going over these first few parts pretty quickly. Case, very, very similar, USB-C charging. Both have Qi charging for sure. The Noble Audios have a little bit better, significantly better battery. These only give you 2 more chargers. I believe these give you 4, and the earbuds last longer. So you have basically 40 hours with this, I believe, and you have 20 hours all in all with this. So significantly different batteries. However, which one would I rather carry around? Definitely these. The main reason being 2 things. One, this doesn't have any issues with things falling out. It's a very slim case, and it's extremely reliable of when it's closed and in there, the earbuds won't connect. So overall, I love it. Pocketable, all that sort of stuff. While this does have more battery, it is built less consistent. It does look like it's kind of built from the mid 2000s decade, and it's just sometimes it's bulbous. So like if you stick that in your pocket, it's going to be very, very obvious that it's sticking out, and it's just kind of uncomfortable, especially if you back pocket it. And this doesn't fit into that 5th pocket if you have that in your jeans, while this one does. And then the last part which I was getting into before I got sidetracked was that sometimes when the earbuds are in this case, they will still connect to my phone, and that's so freaking annoying. So there'll be times I'm just playing games, and I just want to use the speakers on the phone, and then I'll lose it, and it'll be here, or I'll be listening to music, and then like in the shower, right, and then they'll connect to that, and I'll just lose my music, which is annoying. So the case is not as reliable. While it does have the battery that I'd love on this one, it just is not something that I would rock with. In terms of the earbud design is obviously way better. on the Bang & Olufsen's. I like the contrast of matte and shiny, as well as the fact that they are like pretty short stemmed. So while they do stick out of your ears, they don't feel like they're stabbing you in the ears like they do on the Nobles. So overall, I think it's a good design. I do wonder why they put the wings on the inside where it's hitting the tragus of your ear rather than like the conches. I would imagine it would be better fit if those actually, were on the outside where they would hug against those conches and kind of nestle in, but they don't. But the earbuds definitely do feel better in ear. They are more comfortable even with the silicone tips. And the only big difference is that they're so fat. And we'll get back into that with the fit. As we talk about the Nobles are long stem. You can see that they stick out quite a bit, and they do have shallower ear cups, ear tips, which contribute to that. So you do get some stethoscope effects when you are listening to music, as well as they do feel like they're stabbing you in the side of the face, which is not a great feeling, especially when you have to tap things and they just shove them further deep. That's just something from my perspective. As well as in the design, it's very utilitarian. I do like the sort of midnight blue and black combination. However, it's really offset by the fact that there's an indicator light on the inside of that. So let me see if I can get that to work. I don't know, maybe because it's not connected. Oh yeah, so like there's a little light on that, which is super annoying because it basically just makes you feel like you're conducting traffic on an air strip. And I just think that that's just super dated. Like I haven't seen headphones like that since like 2010. So like they could definitely do a little bit better job about where those indicators exist. I get the need for them, but design is important. As we start moving into fit, these ones, it's the Bang & Olufsen's, just because of the fact that they just feel comfortable over long listening sessions. So again, I could listen to music, stay still, and I won't have any issues even with the silicone tips. While with these ones, they required a decent amount of readjustment, and they kind of suck even just sitting around. But that gets exacerbated when you start doing active fit. So when you start running around, the stethoscope effects feel with this. They just jostle around a lot more. And while they never really fell out, I had to readjust them a ton during workouts. And see, they connected. Wow. My phone's not even on me. But that was the thing that I would say is that the Noble Audios were just a little bit cumbersome during the workout. With the Bang & Olufsen's, again, I do complain that they fall out, but unlike the Nobles, they do have foam ear tips included, which helped with that sort of feel in ear. So they definitely helped with the comfort. They definitely helped with the fit. They helped with a lot of things in terms of sound and ANC. So the introduction of foam was great. However, I think for some people, they may be able to get away with the silicone tips if they pick the right sizing. Just for me, it just seems that foams work better overall. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this over in terms of fit. As we work into microphones, I'm trying to remember. Do you hear that? This case is closed, and it is playing music. Or a podcast. Oh, it's fight commentary. But this thing is closed. Completely closed and playing. So this goes back into my thing that I freaking hate this case. Anyway, microphones. I would say that the Noble Audios do better outdoors. They do definitely do better off outdoors in terms of what you can hear, the clarity and all that sort of stuff. And while it doesn't have wind protection, it does seem to still be able to bring your voice through it. While with the Bang & Olufsen's on that rainy day, people are having issues hearing that, and they're like wondering why I didn't put subtitles. I mean, I guess it would help, but it does tell you the fact that these kind of suck outdoors, right? However, once we got in the indoor situation, I do feel like these sounded better. You came in very, very clear, your volume was nice, and you sounded natural. These had the volume, however, they sounded like a robot. So the 6 microphones in the Bang & Olufsen's definitely help you with that. I just wish that that translated outdoors. So overall, again, I'm not trying to take calls outdoors a lot. I just do it for these reviews. I would go with the Bang & Olufsen's just because I would rather people get the sound of my voice rather than the sound of a robot. So microphones, we go that way. So sorry, I'm stupid. I probably could do a microphone test on these, so I might as well. So let's do this live and live. So Noble Audio first. Alright, so this is the audio coming from the Noble Audio Falcon Pros. I'm sure you guys have heard this. We're in an indoor setting, and everything is pretty normal. I will say that when I use this on calls, it's a little bit robotic. It's pretty obvious to everyone on my call that with me, and they even mention it. So it is clear, it is loud, it is just enough to get it down the pipe. But I would say that it might not be the most pleasurable to everyone listening to you, and that's just going to depend on what you guys like. But you guys can tell me how these sound in the comment. I'm going to switch over to the Bangs. Alright, and then this is the audio from the Bang & Olufsen EQs. From my experience, these are a lot more natural sounding and a lot more clear, at least from an indoor setting. As we mentioned before, the Nobles will win out in an outdoor setting, but these should sound more natural to your ears, and you won't offend anybody's ears. So these definitely performed a little bit better when I was taking calls when I came back from my Copenhagen trip, and people did like how it was coming off. So, but you guys can tell me which one you like better in the comments, the Nobles or the EQs. Ambient and ANC. Well, so I think I'm going to skip out on the samples here because of the fact that the Noble Audios don't have ANC. They only have Hear-Thru, which is weird because if you can do Hear-Thru, you can definitely do ANC. At least you should be able to, because you're leveraging the microphones for a similar reason, just the opposite reason. So Noble Audio left that out. It's kind of weird to me. If you're spending $300 on earbuds or over than that, you should have ANC. So definitely a bummer on that one. The Bang & Olufsen's, again, this is going to be the same thing, is the loudness of the transparency is better on this. However, the naturalness is better on the Bangs. And because Bangs have the ANC, they just automatically win that category. But from a transparent mode perspective, these still do a pretty decent job of bringing in that noise, but it is more natural. So things don't sound as crinkly, and things just sound very like tonal. So again, if you're talking to someone, it's very natural. You're not trying to compensate for what you're hearing in your mics. This one, you'll hear them for sure, but they may come a little bit cracked, a little bit robotic, and not as pleasant when you have that mode in. It also affects some pieces of when you're listening to music as well, when you're in that Hear-Thru mode. So overall, sound modes, I would give it to the Bang & Olufsen. And again, I know that you guys probably would want to hear samples here, but you can go back to those videos. I just don't want to spend a ton of time on them because they're not one-to-one necessarily, and I just prefer the Bangs from a transparent mode perspective. In terms of ANC overall, I think I mentioned this in the review, they do a commendable job, especially when your music is on. However, I have heard better earbuds with better ANC, like the Sonys and the Apples of the world. So keep that in mind, but definitely serviceable. Let's see. Controls and applications. Application is better for sure on the Bangs. I mean, it doesn't give you a ton of like gesture control, which I think they need to introduce. Again, we'll get that when we talk about controls. But they do give you an EQ that is relatively intuitive. It's very easy and very accessible to anybody. So like, I think some audiophiles probably will miss that 5-pin customization. However, I would say that they could probably still get used to this. I think Sig, the viewer that helped me out with the last review, did mention that it would be cool if they gave like an advanced feature where you did have that 5-pin, which I think that's something that's achievable through firmware. But that having that one finger slide and all that sort of stuff is just super convenient. Plus, they also give you some EQ modes that are relevant. This one, they give you full EQ on the Nobles, but again, it's a little bit quirky on the app, so like you do have all that customization you need. I definitely found some value in making my own settings. The only difference I would say is that this one, the app is just, you should go back to my review. I hate it. The app only works in dark mode on my phone, and it is not optimized for dark mode, so everything looks black. All the rendering and layering looks terrible. I can't really see anything, and it has some gesture control, but nothing that's valuable. So that's the big issue that I have with the Nobles. So overall, the app execution on the Bang is way better, although that the Nobles have a little bit more features. But check out that freaking app rating, 1.8 on the Google Play Store. That's terrible. I'm sorry, 1.8. Woo. But yeah, that should tell you a lot about where the priorities are and the amount of change that they need to go through. I definitely have more faith in the fact that Bang and Olufsen would make the updates first. From a controls perspective and connection perspective, what was it? So the connection was a little bit hard. So I mean, the connections for these were both consistent. I never really had dropouts. The biggest thing was that I couldn't check the range on this one. I just didn't have enough time between my trip and now, which I have to return these guys. But yeah. So connectivity, I didn't really have an issue with either one. I think the Nobles had a relatively strong connection at a distance, so no issues there. Controls. So from controls perspective, these are more robust. They give you single, double, triple, quadruple. And then this one, they only give you double tap and hold. So the controls are technically better on the Noble guys because they give you a depth. However, I think that there's a lot of overlap with them, and it's very quirky. So I can't activate Hear-Thru unless I'm listening to music. And some of the taps on the triple and quadruple taps get lost in the sauce because they're so deep in that menu that it doesn't always register it, and you get a different function. So it's not reliable in that sense. They do give you a lot, but it's not reliable. And I think the worst part about the Nobles is that I get ghost taps just walking around the city. Like, it was very, very apparent when I was working out. Like, I was trying to shoot a video, but it would register a tap and stop the video. So like midway through a route, I would be like, boom, cool. Like that was a dope clip. And then it didn't record it because the ghost tap registered and stopped the video. So that freaking sucked. But even just walking around, I'd have my music start and stop because of those intermittent ghost taps. So not reliable. While they are responsive when you use them, again, there's just certain quirks about it that makes it difficult for me to recommend. But from the Bang & Olufsen's, super responsive. They work exactly as they mapped, but they really just gave us two controls. They gave play, pause, ANC, and volume at least for music playback. Phones, it's gonna be plenty enough for you guys to use, but to me, like, I would rather have a next track and previous track over volume, because in the volume I can just click the side of the phone, right? It's very simple. Not everybody accommodates for volume, but having to open my app, go to a track and change it if I didn't like it, like, that's a little bit annoying to me, because I have to more actively pick up my phone and change that track, because you don't even get like a voice assistant. Not like I would ever do that. Like, that people that think that the voice assistant is useful on that is stupid. Like, I would never be like, hey, next track. Like, that sounds psycho to everyone in the city. I mean, maybe if you're in a suburb, that's fine, but that would sound dumb if I did that in a subway or whatever. People would be like, what the f-? I get it. But in terms of the controls, I would rather go with these just because they're more reliable. And that's really the only reason why. They're reliable. They do exactly as you're supposed to say, but they do have a lot of work that is needed in order to make them palatable for music listening. The problem with that is that if I can't change my tracks, I'm not focused on my music, right? I have to constantly pick up my phone. I would love these earbuds to just introduce a single tap, and that would get me enough control to say, like, next track, previous track, whatever. And then giving us the added functions to customize the controls would be nice, but even just adding a single tap gesture would give us enough where I could recommend these more easily. Right now, I'm just telling people, like, if you want to wait for the firmware update, go for it, but I'm not going to get them right now. So I think Ben can make that firmware update and make that all work out. But that's something that they should be putting on the top of their priority list for improvements, because it's just super limited. And like I said in the review, like, it's almost like they didn't have people test this. And when I was in Denmark, my friend Sig said that they actually had people test this. But I'm like, who the hell tested this? It's probably not normal consumers. Like, maybe they had audiophiles check it out and they really focused on the sound. But from a usability perspective, just having those two gestures is pretty whack. And most people would have probably called that out. So I hope that they do a little bit better job about product and user testing in the future. But please push a single tap, and I'll be totally on board with you guys. But yeah, so I think the last part, again, I don't know how long this video is so far, but I said I'd get that through that fast. I feel like that's faster than most times I've done this. But let's get into sound, and for that I probably need my phone, which I don't have on me. So give me a second, and we will talk about sound shortly. So I was stitching this video together and it ended up being like over an hour. So I guess I talked about sound in a lot more depth than I expected to. But yeah, I'm gonna separate this video out so it's a little bit more digestible for y'all, and y'all aren't just sitting down for a long video like that. That's what podcasts are for, and that was not the intention here. However, I will see you on that other video, but in the meantime, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and yeah, as always, I appreciate you. Peace.